Yes, everyone, welcome to Champions League preview, Manchester United versus Paris St Germain. I genuinely cannot wait for this game tomorrow night. It's almost felt like an age since weekend, since we had the game, and now we're coming into this one. And honestly, this feels like United are almost back. Right, and as it says down here even, make sure to like the video. If we get to 1,000 likes, I will tell you what I really feel about Ashley Young getting a new contract. Otherwise, I'm ignoring the shit out of that. But anyway, let's talk about what we're here to talk about, and that is how Manchester United can beat Paris St Germain tomorrow night at Old Trafford. And I think the template for what we have to do is a little bit of what we saw against Tottenham at Wembley, and it's a little bit of what we saw Lyon do to PSG in the league last weekend, essentially, when Ollie and Mike Phelan went to go check them out. Now, what was interesting about that game, which is what I don't think you're going to see in this game, is that Paris went to a three at the back. They normally play a 4-3-3 under Tuchel, and obviously they do it quite well. They've scored a bucket load of goals in Ligue 1. They're miles ahead in the league with a couple of games in hand. They're cruising at the moment. These injuries have come at a real bad time, because now it's where they actually have to try and compete with people, and when they have to try and compete in the Champions League, which is what they're really aiming for, because they win the domestic league at a canter every single time. Now, what was interesting is that they tried to press, and it's not really what you see a lot of Paris doing. And what Lyon did very effectively was Lyon sort of played a little bit of a 4-4-2. They pulled the wingers back on line with the two central midfielders. They left Fekir and Dembele up front. It was very reminiscent of a 4-4-2. Now, I think United, if we go with a 4-4-2 diamond, can replicate a hell of a lot of what they did here. Now, the keys in that team were the two central midfielders, two young lads that I don't think are going to be at Lyon very much longer, two young lads that I think are fantastic footballers, and that's Ndombele and Ouar, two players that I really like, and I think they're the beating heart of that Lyon team, with Memphis adding a little bit of the sparkle up top for them, as well as Fekir. Now, I think in United's team, that would be Ander Herrera and that would be Matic, offering that little bit of a steal. Now, neither of those are as good a ball players as Ndombele, I don't think. So you'll be looking for Paul Pogba to do the ball playing. Now, Paul Pogba can definitely do that. If we saw what we saw against Tottenham, where we can get Jesse Lingard coming in, causing havoc in and around the central areas, and then Paul Pogba finding the two forwards, which I'm going to get to in a second when I give you my 11, in the final third, then United are going to get behind this team. Because actually, the back line, Kimpembe is a young lad, and he's a very good centre-half, but Thiago Silva's old, and he's not got the pace anymore, and you can get in behind Dani Alves if he plays as wing-back or at full-back. So I think that you're going to see possibly a new formation. Now, the starting 11 that is doing the rounds at the moment for PSG is this one here, and this is the one that a lot of French TV are sort of predicting is going to be the lineup. Now, obviously that's Buffon in net, you've got Silva and Kimpembe at centre-half. Importantly, you're looking at Verratti in midfield alongside Marquinhos. Now, Marquinhos obviously very defensive minded. Verratti is someone that's going to try and dictate the pace of the game. Now, Verratti's not going to last 90 minutes. That's the word that's coming out. No Cavani, no Neymar. Verratti's probably not going to last 90 minutes. On the left there, you've got the Snake. On the right, you've got Dani Alves, according to what they believe is going to happen, with Draxler in the middle. Now, Draxler's going to take up that Paul Pogba role. He's going to want to drive it from deep in midfield and put the ball in behind United's defence, because United can, on occasion, have quite a high line. And when they've got a high line, they're going to try and find Mbappe up top. And that is where they're going to be at their most lethal. We saw Di Maria do it. He was very good on the counter for Manchester United when he played here. He loves to drive the ball forward, dribble it into space and try and move it into the final third. You've got to watch out for that. You've got to watch out for what Draxler's going to do. But without Cavani and without Neymar, they have definitely had their wings clipped a little bit, and they're going to be cautious, and that's where it's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to see what Ander Herrera does to a Verratti that we already know is not going to last 90 minutes. I would definitely be going in hard on him. I would definitely be going in hard on Mbappe, give him the sort of reception that a good English side can definitely give him. Show him that he's in England, show him that he's got a bit of a task ahead of him, and see what he reacts like, because he's often given the freedom. He's often played in a wide area and allowed to drift on the inside. Very rarely do you see him leading the line in this way, especially for Paris, where Cavani is the main man. Now, that being said, he is the key player to watch out for in terms of what Paris are going to be offering. He's scored a ton of goals this season, 22 goals in 27 games, 14 assists. He's getting a lot of shots shots off on target every single game. United have to stop him. It's as simple as that. If we stop Mbappe, I am very confident we are able to keep a clean sheet. You guys let me know in the comments, do you think we can keep this guy quiet? I think it's going to be Bayer, I think it's going to be Lindelof. I think they can do a job against this guy. I don't think they're going to put it in the air. They're going to look to put it on the floor, in behind. I like Bayer's pace. I think Lindelof deals with the balls on the floor in the channel quite well. So I think United have got a real good chance going into this. Starting 11 that I would go with for United is as follows. Big Dave in net. It's going to be newly extended Ashley Young at right back with Luke Shaw at left back. Lindelof and Bayer at centre-half. I think that's why they were both rested at the weekend. Now, very importantly for United, it's that midfield three of Pogba, Herrera and Matic with Lingard sitting on the top of it. Remember how it went down, especially in the first half against Tottenham, and you're looking for Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial to provide width and also pressing. I think Martial's got a lot to prove, and I also think Pogba's got a lot to prove. All of France will be watching. Martial arguably is the reason that we know about Mbappe. His leaving of Monaco allowed the door to be opened for Mbappe and arguably for Marcus Rashford as well, because otherwise he wouldn't have got a debut at United. So I think Martial's got a lot to prove. Didn't go to the World Cup because of the lack of game time that he got under Jose. So I think he's going to have a hell of a lot to prove. So I start him and Marcus up front. I'm looking for pace. I'm looking to get in behind the likes of Silva and the likes of Dani Alves in that Paris defence. Jesse Lingard is going to be a massively important player in this role as well. The link between the midfield and the attack. I expect Jesse to play a little bit of a false nine to put pressure on the Paris defence and really get amongst them and see what sort of havoc he can wreak. We saw that it's his surprise tackling, it's his surprise pressing that put everybody under pressure in these big games, and when they give you the ball back, you've got the likes of Marcus and Tony Martial, absolute speed merchants that are going to blast off into the channels, and then you've got the passing range of Paul Pogba to be able to find them. Very confident in our attack, very confident in our midfield. It's just that defence. Can that defence hold what Paris are going to throw at us? Because Paris will come at us with all guns blazing. They will not park the bus. I don't think it's in their nature to be able to come away and park the bus. I could see this game going very much how it went with Liverpool earlier on in the season in the group stage, where it ends up with a ton of goals. But key man for United is definitely going to be Marcus Rashford. Play him down the middle. It's not just what he offers in front of goal, because I do think Tony Martial's got just a slight better finish on him. I don't think I've ever seen Martial hit a ball harder. He just places it, doesn't he? He just passes it, perfect position, into the corner of the goal every single time. So I think he's going to be important, but the press that and the work rate that Marcus Rashford gives you, those centre-halves that want to play it around the back, that think they've got it all nice and easy when they come in from France and no one puts pressure on them, yeah, Marcus Rashford's going to absolutely change that big time. So he's going to get in amongst it. And I also think the form that he's in at the moment, I wouldn't back against him or even Tony Martial scoring. I think both of them are going to be a big one for us. Right, so we've got a couple of quotes from Ollie. The big one that I like, and he's right, and it really captures the essence of what I'm thinking is going to go down. It says, it will be a fantastic night under the floodlights. The fans will be up for it. You are goddamn right we are. It's official no pants night in the Stretford End. It will be a new experience for Paris as well. They've been in England, but they haven't been to Old Trafford, have they? And no, they have not. We have not faced Paris in competition. We have played them in the International Cup and stuff like that, the Champions Cup, whatever that's called, but we haven't ever played them in competition. So it is going to be a new test for United, and it will be very interesting. I'm going to go to the Patreon group and check out some of the questions, but keep getting your questions in. Like I said, please like the video. If I get to 1,000 likes, then I will talk about Ashley Young. If I don't, you can sling it, and we'll do that another day. Let's have a wee look at here and see what some of you lot are saying. So if you're interested in joining the Patreon group is the reason why all of the graphics and everything like that happens on this channel, and that is because we have people working behind the scenes, and we can only do that because of the legends on Patreon that support this channel and keep it going. Right in. So here are the questions from the geezers on Patreon. Barbie Sean says, do you think we'll set up like we did against Spurs? And if so, who do you think will play beside Lindelof? Yes, as we've just seen, I do think we'll play how we played against Spurs. I think that is how you go about beating this Paris team. I think I said prior to the Spurs game, if we can get a result here, then this does set a template for us. But for both Paris and for the Liverpool games, they don't play identical, but they do play quite a similar sort of style. So I do think if we can keep a clean sheet, we are in good hands. What I don't want is it to collapse like it did against Spurs, where we maybe don't have the confidence to see the game through, or we can't get that second goal and relax a little bit because it was nervy, and arguably they should have got a point out of that. A36 Med says, do we play a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 diamond? Because I think if we play 4-3-3, Tony, Marcus, Jesse could interchange, which will cause a lot of problems to the defence, and I'll bet on our attackers in a race. I think in a 4-4-2 diamond they kind of do anyway, but the diamond allows Jesse to be central, and that's where you get the best out of Jesse Lingard. Jay says, what sort of formation do you play? Is 3 at the back something we will see under Ole? Is Marcus going to show Mbappe who the real top boy is? That's what I think it's going to be billed as. There's a lot of people are going to try and make it Marcus versus Mbappe. Forget about that. It's all about getting into the next round. But if Marcus comes out on top, you better believe that's an agenda I'll be pushing. 3 at the back under Ole? Yeah, I do think so. When I spent like 7 hours a day, got appointed as having a new radiator fitted, or new radiators fitted, and I just spent 7 hours watching tons and tons of Mulder, went through everything. He's not married to a single formation. He'll play 4-4-2, he'll play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. He has played 3 at the back with 3-5-2. He's also played it with 3-4-3 as well. So Ole's not scared to mix it up when he needs to mix it up, but he does kind of go through phases. He'll do like 4 or 5 months of one formation and switch it up. So I don't know the backstory completely behind why all those formation changes happened. There might have been a certain player, there might have been an injury, there might have been something behind them all, but he certainly doesn't look like he's married to a formation. So yeah, I do think we might see it, and you might see it out of Paris after what we saw against Lyon. They might fancy it, they might go, it didn't work against Lyon. United are going to probably play quite similar, so I think they've been it, but maybe there's something in it that they think they can improve on, especially with the injuries. Maybe it protects them by going with a back 5 a little bit. I guess we're going to see tomorrow night. Ant says, there's a great feeling in and around the club. Can this good morale see us nick top 4 and a trophy? Yeah, I think it could. Yeah, I think we're in the rounds. We're in the mixer for the FA Cup. I think the Champions League's probably going to be far too much for us, but as long as we're in the trophy, we do have a chance. I think it's a very slim chance, but there is a chance of, you get to a semi-final, anything can happen, can't it? And you're only a couple of wins really away from getting that. So I think we're going to get in top 4. I think we could even get in the top 3. Whether we win our trophy or not depends on a hell of a lot of luck. Maybe. How do we assess the loss of Cavani? Is it better for United that Mbappe will be down the middle rather than out on the right if he starts up front, says Nathan? Yeah, I do think it is better for us, because I don't like him up against the likes of Luke Shaw or Ashley Young. I think when there's 2 of them, and arguably Matic as well, who could crowd him out, I think that's something you could do. Because he's not used to playing down the middle, I think you could probably cause a little bit of havoc with him doing that, because the problem and the threat that you have when he has played down the middle, he's had the likes of Neymar as well running off him. So they are definitely weaker for not having Cavani. Cavani's an excellent frontman. He's an excellent leader of the line, and he's an excellent centre forward. Having him with the likes of Mbappe and Neymar running off him is a terrifying prospect. So losing 2 out of that 3 is only a good thing for us. Do you think that Rabiot from PSG would be a good addition for our midfield? Yeah. And the sad truth is, like we were talking about, like fullbacks and defenders, there's players all over the world in lower leagues and lower halves of top leagues that would massively improve United, and that's one of my major issues with that sort of stuff. Milan says, how would you set up against PSG? Would you go for them or sit back and counter? I would try and blitz them first 20-25 minutes, but if they deal with that really well, I would almost invite them to have the ball a little bit, because they'll be used to having the ball and they'll be used to having a high line from what happens in France all the time. So I would almost like lull them into a false sense of security and then try and hit them and use our pace, because their natural tendencies will be to press up and press up and press up and have a really high line that we can definitely get in behind. And Thiago Silva is not catching Marcus Rashford, not even with a scooter. Jay says, with their injuries, would it be wise to go all guns blazing? Like I said, yeah, I think you've got to go and try and really put the tie to bed in the first half of the first leg for me. Absolutely knock them out of the water. But then if we don't get that, then you've got to be a bit more cautious, haven't you? Because you can't really go and concede a ton at home. Isn't the change in attitude and feeling around the club amazing? Since under Jose, I was dreading this. Even if we lose, still confident we can do everything we can to win. Yeah, totally agree. Lyon beat PSG recently, playing a similar system to us, pacey football, 4-2-3-1, and utilising the counter-attack after a high press. However, this was without some of their top players. My question is, at the moment, what are our biggest tactical weaknesses, and how could Ole overcome them with such a big game ahead? Tactical weaknesses, I think a little bit is we nullify our own left-back, regardless of who plays there, by the fact that we occupy so much of the left channel. I think it's hard for our left back to get a good head of steam up and get down to the byline. We don't support the right back, which is no excuse for some of the poor performances and shocking crossing stats that you see from usually Ashley Young on the right side, although Dalot didn't exactly have the greatest of games either against Fulham. We are weak in those wide areas because I think one of them is a mental weakness with clogging up that left channel. On the right hand side, it's a lack of balance and someone to really take ownership of that right hand side and a good fullback. Aside from that, I think we're all right matched wise. I could argue a little bit more pace. If we'd had someone like an Ndombele over Matic or alongside Matic, I'd be a lot more confident coming through the midfield. But what we've got in midfield is decent. I'm pretty confident going into it. Loki says, which players need a rest and which do better and better the more they play? Does Dalot need a run of games? Dalot does need a run of games. I wouldn't be starting him tomorrow night though. I think the strength he's got is his crossing, and certainly over Ashley Young, his crossing is miles better. But his weakness is defending, and actually Ashley Young, even though I constantly see people tell me that Ashley Young pocketed Salah and he's pocketed this guy and he's pocketed that guy. It was team performances and it was team parking the bus. McTominay and Matic had just as much to do with that if you go back and watch those games. And the whole team, the way they defended and denied the space to them. He just happened to be the fullback that was marking them. The problem with him is he gives a lot of fouls away. He gives away like 3-4 times as many fouls as most fullbacks in the league. Which for someone who, I keep getting told his experience is vital, his decision making is terrible. He gives away far too many fouls, and his crossing statistics are a fucking disgrace, for want of a better word. So he definitely needs to do better, or we need to do better from the fullback areas. And Dalot just isn't there defensively yet. Young is ahead of him defensively. Verratti returned from injury. This is from King Nathan. Verratti returned from injury and started for PSG at the weekend. How big a boost could that end up being for them, considering their midfield crisis? They do have other midfielders that they could bring in. No one of the level of Verratti, clearly. But by all accounts, he didn't look great at weekend, and he's not going to last 90 minutes against United. So I think that's a massive bonus, because let's say Ander Herrera gets in and around him, knocks him off his game, 10-15 minutes he's got to go off because he can't handle the pace. Now they're in the shit. So I think risking a player like that. Jack, I'm not answering your question. Off topic, but what are your thoughts for Scholes getting the Oldham job? Can he motivate the players? Very interested to see how it goes down. Often players with that level of ability don't make great managers. But you've seen lesser players like Lampard and Gerrard recently taking to management, so it'd be interesting to see if he can have the same effect they do, because they've done all right. Despite your arguments towards PSG strengths, please tell me why we can't be confident of this kind of team, which is essentially no better than Arsenal. Wow. No Verratti, Rabiot, Neymar, Meunier and Cavani. Why can't we confidently beat them? I think we can, and I'm very confident going into this. I am. Connor says, there are European teams we should hope to... Are there any European teams we should hope to avoid if we advance? None really seem in that in form at the moment. It's City, sadly. The fucking European teams we need to avoid are the ones 2.5 miles away. If you could take out one player in the PSG side and put him straight into our starting 11, who would it be? Kimpembe, all day. Di Maria versus Young, how do you think that's going to pan out? I think if you wanted to do a bookings bet, get all your money on Ashley Young to get a yellow card right now. How cosy is Di Maria going to be in Young's pocket? We know that fat extension money. I don't know if he's going to get a chance to pocket him, to be honest. I think, even though the way he lines up, he's going to be on that left wing, he'll play central. I think he'll come in the middle and go down the side. Reckon Jose will end up at Chelsea for a first stint, says Josh. Do you know what? I wouldn't rule it out. I don't know if it's definitely going to happen, but I wouldn't rule it out. Please like the video if you're enjoying the content. I'm going to come to some of the guys on YouTube at the moment. There's rumours of Rashford being injured, says Dean. Yeah, I know. I was speaking to somebody the other day, and he did have a knock. So I know. We'll see how that goes. Bring Chong on the right wing. Oh, it's not the game. It's not the game. I don't think so. Would you take Kante if he's unhappy about his position and usage at Chelsea? It's not a bad shout, to be honest. It isn't a bad shout. Not a bad shout in the slightest. What was that one? Won't let me scroll up. Where's it gone? Something about Herrera. Let me just try and pop this chat out. Keep getting your questions in, and I will answer them as soon as possible. And I guess you don't want me to talk about Ashley Young, seeing as though you're not over 1,000 likes yet. No 9 Scrum says Delo had a chance against Fulham and didn't do anything. Is Herrera better than Torreira? Yeah, massively. What do you reckon the reception will be for Di Maria tomorrow? It will not be nice. Ensing says you compare Rashford stats to Ronaldo. Why not Martial when his stats are better? Why Rashford versus Mbappe and not Martial versus Mbappe? Don't know, to be honest. It's just that's we are. And we're looking at Rashford stats to Ronaldo. Oh, I mean, I've not, but people are looking at Rashford stats to Ronaldo because he's just hit the same sort of number of goals in less games, I believe. Rashford was on the bench versus Fulham, though. Yeah, but he did have a knock. How important will Herrera be? Herrera will be massive in this game. There's a lot of players that are going to be massive. I think Jesse Lingard will be massive. Pogba's going to have a big game, or needs to have a big game, I think, for the reception in France. Same with Tony Martial. I think you're going to see Marcus Rashford be important. I think Lindelof could be very important, as well as Baye. There's going to have to be a great team performance, to be honest. Yeah, Mina says Lingard's movement will be too much for Thiago Silva. Him and Marquinhos as well. He's going to cut around all of those. It might be Lingard that goes through Verratti. It's going to be a couple of them. Do you reckon Sanchez could start? Yeah, I didn't think he was bad, to be honest. I think he's doing the right things and he's getting the right areas. It's just not coming off for him. Thoughts on Ndombele? Been in love with Ndombele for a while now. I think he was on one of our ones to watch for the World Cup video in the summer. I'm pretty sure he was. Is Verratti out? No, we think he's going to start. We don't know, obviously, for definite. But they reckon he's not going to last the 90 minutes. So they're probably going to try and do some sort of a job, aren't they? I reckon try and nick a goal and then completely shut up shop. Nikhil says Old Trafford is going to witness who has got more pace, Mbappe or Rashford. I don't reckon there's much in it. I do not reckon there is much in it. Who do you think Matic will be? Who do you think Matic will be first choice for number 6? Or do you think Matic will be first choice number 6 next season? Oh, I don't know. You know, I don't know. Class of '92 didn't cost money. What if Ole invested in youth and we bring in Gomez to Heath, Greenwood, and do it again? Yes, however, we are stacked in the forward positions, which is where most of those play, and really we need a centre-half, and you can't really account for experience. I mean, I'd love to see Tuanzebe given the opportunity, and I would like to see someone like Ethan Laird come through as well at full-back. He's absolutely fantastic. Ensing, talking about liars. Liars are going to keep lying, so let them lie. Any youth players actually going to get a call-up in the coming future? I'm sure, but not against PSG, Liverpool or Chelsea, I don't think. People write off young defenders at this club too early. Look at Shaw first, then Lindelof, now Delo. He will come good. It's not a case of writing him off. It's just a case of saying he ain't good enough at the moment. Lindelof wasn't good enough when he came. He needed a long time to adapt his game, and I don't think he needed to just see what the English league was about. His game needed to change. His game and the weaknesses in his game are still kind of there to an extent, but he's worked on them. He's definitely worked on them. And what we saw wasn't an adaptation process problem with him when he first came to England. What we saw was what the player was when he was at Benfica, and he needed to change that, and he's changing that. So that's why he needs to keep working it and keep playing. I would swap Rashford for Mbappe, to be honest. Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. In terms of ability, I don't think there's much in it. In terms of what it means playing for this club, does Mbappe get that? Or does Marcus get that? Come on, man. I don't think you can quantify the importance of having players that have stood on the Stretford end growing up. I think it means such a lot for them to play that you get an extra couple of percent out of them in games like this. Do I think Romelu could do a job from the bench? Yeah, I do. But I wouldn't start him in this game. I don't think he looks at the races enough to start. And if you denied... I would rank it this way. I would go Marcus starts first, Tony Martial very, very close second, and then Lingard has to be in the mixer. After those, it'd be Juan Mata that gets the opportunity, then Sanchez, then Lukaku. He's got to move himself up that pecking order because at the moment he ain't doing it. Delo will be world class by 23 years old. He's got to sort his defensive side out. He definitely does. But if he's able to do that, then yeah, I think there is a good player. 1,000 likes. You having it? There's 1,200 watching. If you all just clicked it now, it'd be over. Simple as that. Over. Simple as that. And I could absolutely go off on one and flip this fucking table talking about Ashley Young. I'll give you another 30 seconds to do it. And if not, then we will see. If Dani Alves plays right back, then Marshall would have a field day against him. Exactly, which is why I think you're probably not likely to see that. I definitely think that's probably not going to be how it goes down. I do think they'll probably go with Kera, I think that's how you pronounce it, at right back, and probably, like I said, Bernat at left back, and go with a back two with Kimpembe and Silva. I think that'll be how they line up. They could go with a free. Kera can play in central defence, so can Marquinhos. They could mix this up numerous ways, but I do think it'll be, as we said, 4-2-3-1. If they come out with 5 at the back, we know they're shit in it, and we should just absolutely pile forward and go for them. Righty then, looks like you don't want me to talk about Ashley Young, so I'm going to jive. But thank you guys for joining us. Please subscribe if you are new around here. Check out the link below for Patreon if you want to get more content. There's a podcast coming out tomorrow. There's also vlogs. And if we hit a certain threshold, there's going to be new videos unlocked where we go off topic and talk about all sorts of shit as well. So if you're interested, it helps support the channel. It keeps it going alive. It's less than £1 a week. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you in the next one. Laters.